everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would go over some of the changelogs from the last few days just so you can keep up to date with what is going on in the game and what is going on overall. Another piece of news I also want to show is something from the War Thunder Instagram, and it's talking about the fact that they will be testing a new feature for ground simulator battles over the upcoming weekend, and this is going to be request location of allies. So you'll be able to utilize your radio operator crew member and identify allies even at long distances. So hopefully this will do a little bit for trying to fix the issue of people donking their own teammates, and we'll see how it actually works. I'm going to give it a test. I'm sure many simulator players out there are very happy to see this, and it'll be nice to see it implemented in the game. Also, just as a quick tidbit, Instagram is so annoying because it actually starts off at the bottom, and I've never understood why. So if anyone from Instagram is watching, which would be hilarious, please make it so when you open a page, it actually opens at the top instead of the bottom of the chat area. Anyway, let's get into the changelogs and also server updates, see what's going on in the wonderful update Viking Fury. So far, there's definitely been some bugs I've run into. The Delat Torn. If you actually turn the Delat Torn's turret, what will happen is the ammunition from the hull will go outside of your tank. And yes, it's still a physical model, so you can get killed from outside of your tank by artillery and stuff like that in the Delat Torn. Another thing as well is a few other little bugs when it comes to a lot of Swedish vehicles. And if you want to find me like going through the Swedish tech tree, I've been streaming a lot of it over on Twitch. You can find a link in the description of this video. So anyway, let's get into the changes. A bug has been fixed where the NR-30 aircraft cannon has a reduced rate of fire. Obviously this is good. The IR-316B, the ATGM site vignette, has been removed, so that should make it a lot clearer. The inability to respawn in a helicopter in SB mode has been fixed. That must have been kind of annoying, but at least they fixed that as well. And in our B mode, you are now able to choose the helicopter pad to spawn. Most distance from the battlefield is set as the default one. So it looks like they've already compromised on the distance when it comes to where people are able to spawn. I have definitely seen a lot less helicopters in battles in Ground Realistic, but then again, I've also been playing a lot more lower tier, and that's based off what other people have been saying. We'll see how that goes forward, you know, whether people find some tricks to be able to get into helicopters, you know, later on, and we'll see how people figure it out. The return to the battlefield indicator has been removed for specific high-ranked combined battles. That's an interesting one. So pretty much in Ground Realistic, which is what that's talking about, which is combined battles, the fact is the return to the battlefield indicator has been removed. So will you just die every so often if you go out of bounds? If you understand, like, if you are under the impression you're in the battlefield but you're not, will you just blow up without the indicator? Or is it that they've expanded the maps so you can actually go outside? That's kind of interesting. We'll have to have a look at that and see what it's like over the coming weeks. The next one is update 1.97.0.70, and this is a bunch of other bugs which was introduced. By the way, it was interesting to see a lot of people talk about how Gaijin have took their time with this patch, and they've made sure that it's polished, and it's obvious that they've taken their time with it, even though it came out maybe 3 days after the time that the last year's patch came out in March. And to me, when it came to polish and stuff like that, I've seen about the same polish from this patch compared to others. And there's been not many game-breaking bugs this patch, but then again, we only get 1 or 2 of them a year, and it's just interesting to see how the community perception of things has changed for no particular reason. I don't know what triggered it. I don't know where this idea got that, where this update itself was more polished than any other. The F4E, the F4EJ, and the F4M, the language localization for flares has been fixed. So you'll be able to tell whenever you fire flares in whatever language. The AH-64D, the system for firing flares has been fixed. It now occurs automatically if AMACE has been installed. If not, flares will have to be activated manually. Nice. So we do actually have some control over if you can manually use the flares or if they're automatic. Obviously, more people will go towards the automatic side of things, but at least, you know, this makes a slight difference. I have actually been hearing reports that the flares aren't working as well as people would like them to, meaning that the flares are, you know, not turning off air-to-air missiles for jets. And all I can say is maybe when it comes to, if you know missiles coming towards you and you know you want to fire flares, maybe turn off the afterburner, you know, turn hard, and maybe it will go after the flares instead of you. Or maybe there is an issue with the flares not actually working properly, but we'll have to see in the coming weeks if there is any changes to them. The Mi-35M, it now has a ballistic calculator for its turret, so it'll have access to stuff like the CCIP stuff, which would be nice for it. The MiG-19S and MiG-21 F-13, the display of mass for 1 second burst for these vehicles' offensive weaponry has been fixed. That's kind of nice. And the STRV, the 1030, A and C. By the way, remember, the 103B is still just sat in the files. It's just kind of sat there, not doing anything. A bug causing incorrect angles of elevation has been fixed. So they fixed the fact that they broke the hull braking mechanic in update 1.97. One of the main selling factors of these weird Swedish tanks is, of course, the cheese wedges, which is the 103s, and they fundamentally broke them when the update came out. But hopefully that's fixed now. The STRV 103A and C, they have some smoke grenade launch modifications added, which will give them some extra survivability. I'm sure that'll be nice. The hull brake mechanics bug, where a hull breakage could occur after several low caliber strikes from 20 to 40mm sub-caliber AP rounds, has been fixed. Wonderful stuff. I actually did some work with Tubo when it came to bug reporting some stuff when it comes to hull braking, because he, alongside I and many others, we need way more clarification on how hull brake works. If you look at the War Thunder wiki, or if you look at the different news articles when it comes to hull brake, unfortunately there's a lot of instances in game where hull brake does not work how it is said on stuff like the War Thunder wiki. So more clarification is required, more information is overall required on how the system works instead of a basic outline. And this, to me, would be one of those things where this would give us a bit more information about what's, you know, going on, and also it just shows your bug reports do something. Make sure to get them in, make sure to, you know, try and improve the game that you enjoy playing. Airfields and helicopter pads have been fixed for combined battles for the following locations: Stalingrad, Japan, Ardennes, also Mozdok, Advance to the Rhine. Missions will be put back into the map rotation on the 20th of March. Oh, so that's where those maps have gone. They just kind of disappeared because of the fact that their airfields were broken. This was, I think, because of the new automated system that they brought in. The automated system which basically just put airfields so far away from each other and so far close to each other. So it's nice to see that that has now been fixed, because my god was it annoying. It was incredibly infuriating going to see an airfield and just seeing it completely bugged either above the ground or below the ground, but hopefully this has all been fixed. Also another server update, the FM4344, a bug in the task for receiving the 4-color camouflage has been fixed, so the number of vehicles required for obtaining it has been changed from 35 to 65. It's a rank 1 vehicle. Why are you making people get 65 kills for this thing? It's if you want people to take it into high tiers and donk people with it. You're not going to sit around getting 65 for that most of the time. And then the Morco Moraine, the engine description bug has been fixed. I've been hearing good things about the Morco Moraine. I'm going to give it a try over the next few days. I think its GE cost is pretty nice, and I've been seeing it's used very well in ground realistic. The last one is update 1.97.0.74, and this also changed a bunch of stuff today, and the first one is a large one. So this was one I was running into yesterday a lot when it came to War Thunder. The network synchronization of a ground vehicle's position in sight view has been fixed. While approaching vehicles that were moving, the auto-tracking of such targets might have moved inaccurately. So if you go watch the VOD from my stream yesterday, there were many shots that I made on vehicles which should have penetrated. If you have a look at, I was using stuff like the PVKV2, I was using machines such as the Delat Torn, which all have high penetration, shooting Shermans in the side, of the hull, shooting stuff like SA-50s, Jumbos, M4A1s in the side, and then shooting M6A1s in the little angled part on the front of their hull. All of these shots bounced or ricocheted or didn't go through. And I've got a feeling it was because of this network synchronization issue. And I'm hoping it's fixed, because it was incredibly annoying to line up a shot perfectly, make sure to shoot exactly where you're supposed to shoot, fire, and then it not go through. Because when you're playing stuff like the PVKV2, the Delat Torn, or, the other PVKVs, you don't have the armor to be able to bounce any of the shots that people are firing at you, but of course some of those vehicles do have the armor to be able to bounce your shots. So you've got to be accurate in your shooting, and if the game is not telling you the truth about where you're actually firing, when it comes to like the client-side, server-side issues, then you're going to be boned. So I'm really hoping that's fixed, really hoping, otherwise it's going to be a lot of frustration over the next week or so. The Key 61 Co and the Key 67 Otsu, the thickness of the armor plate behind the dorsal turret has been changed to 15.8mm, and the tail turret one has been changed to 7.9mm, so a little bit of armor, we'll see if it does anything. The MiG-19PT and 19S, the display thickness of the seat back armor has been changed to 16, and of the armored header plate to 25mm. Doesn't really change anything, but it's nice to, know about it. The guided air-to-air Mistral, the weight of the missile has been corrected, so the type of explosive mass has been changed to HBX, and the weight of the explosive mass has been changed to 1.1 kilos. We'll see if that makes any difference. This is obviously talking about the Mistral, which is air-to-air, so not the one which is on the Saddam, instead the ones which are on the helicopters. So I don't know how much people use those. I'm sure they use them a decent amount, and also with the Apaches coming into the game, there's going to be a lot more air-to-air missiles running around with stuff such as them, with the Stingers, and also the I want to say Starstreak, but I don't think it's the Starstreak. The air-to-air missiles that Britain fires. The T-18B1 and the T-18B2 default bomb preset has been added. Lovely, so that you don't have to start them off as heavy fighters. Guided air-to-air missiles, the 92 Stingers, their explosive mass has been changed to HDA, and the weight of their explosive has been changed to 0.45. So they're less than half the size of the Mistral, but it should be okay as long as their proximity fuse, basically you don't have to hit an aircraft with a Stinger to kill it. What you need to do is to get the Stinger close enough in order for it to pop, and then that'll pop whatever it's attacking. So as long as those are still in there with the Mistral and the Stinger, changing the mass won't really change too much. The AH Mark 1, so this of course is the British Apache and the G-Lynx. The displayed information for the 20mm Orlican has been fixed. Good. The M2 and M3 cannons overheating time has been fixed. So I was playing the J26 yesterday, and the J26 is a Mustang. It's just the J26 is the Swedish Mustang, and the Swedish in 1945 bought a bunch of Mustangs and P47s from the Americans. They were actually stored in Britain at the time, and they basically just flew them over, in the war and also the post-war period, so the Swedish could complement their air force. Now, what they've done with the J26, and I don't know whether this is the same for other vehicles of the same BR for like America, is they've changed tracer belts. The tracer belts now are just TTT, so they're just tracer bullets. So now it is no longer right to go tracers with the API-T belts. Instead, it's better to go stealth or some other belt, because the TTT boys, they don't do any damage. And that's really sad. You know, I don't know why it's been changed. It's been API-T for the longest time in War Thunder. You know, firing the lasers, setting everything on fire, doing crazy damage. But hopefully either it gets reverted or we get a reason why the tracer belts are just useless now for those 50 cals. The range scales for radars, the K52 and H64, are now 6 kilometers and 4 kilometers. This one should make it so it's much easier to see stuff on the battlefield instead of, you know, just extended ranged ones. And the STRV M31, M38, M39, and M40L, so basically all of the Swedish medium tanks / light tanks at rank 1, APDS has been added to the ammunition types. That was needed. I don't think it will help them that much. I'm going to do some reviews on rank 1, 2, and 3 Sweden over the next few days. The APDS shell gives you extra penetration, but the problem with a lot of these vehicles is their post-pen damage effect, and that's what the APDS doesn't give you. It doesn't give you any of that while you're getting bap-a-bapped by autocannons all day. But I suppose it is nice to have APDS. It just means now I have to spade all those vehicles again, so thank you for that. But at least it makes them a little bit more useful than they were before, which, you know, their use was limited. Right now, just as a general overlook, the way I see it is rank 1 Sweden is rough, rank 2 Sweden is abysmal, rank 3 Sweden is okay / pretty good, and rank 4 so far is pretty fun. And the last bit of news that we have is also there is a new trophy with user-created camos in update Viking Fury. So if you're interested in having a look at any of the camouflages, make sure to check them out in game so you can have a look and see them. You can see the majority of them are ground vehicles and aircraft camos. Then you have some fleet and helicopter ones, and of course the decal itself, the wonderful Viking Fury one. You can also see all of the ways of getting Gaijin coin and everything like that, and make sure to, you know, make sure to have a look at skins that you want to purchase, or, you know, maybe you want to open some boxes. It's all up to you. You know, it's your money. You do with it what you want. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I just want to thank Ambrosius McClellan, B. Young, Blackie, Chris Giltnane, Daniel Stanton, Jay Wilt, John Ryman, Martinez, Super Cacti, Trigger Hippie, Eugens Terry, and also Elove Goat and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.